Howdy dreamers, and welcome back to Dreamline Garage. I'm sitting here in the Crossfire because I was driving back from getting some groceries and was kind of contemplating what to do with cars in the coming future. So I wanted to take a minute and sit down with y'all while I'm still sitting here in the Crossfire and kind of go over that with you guys. And if you have been following the Facebook page at all, which a lot of you may not have, granted there's only 13 of y'all that actually are subscribed, I will occasionally sit down, especially when I haven't done a whole lot, and just kind of give an update. Let y'all know that I haven't forgotten about you and that, you know, things are still progressing, albeit much slower than at other times. Because of that, it's because I work, I lack money, I sometimes lack motivation. You know, it's just me in a garage. So, this is definitely a side gig right now, unless something miraculous happens and I, start becoming YouTube famous. I still have a job, a 9-to-5 job. So the cars are definitely on the sidelines. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's just letting you know that there will be times when I don't post much. So anyway, Eddie is our next big project. In fact, he's parked just in front of me here. So I've got 3 major milestones that I have in store for Eddie. And the first one is to simply get him to the track. So right now, the engine, trans, and rear end are solid. Little leaky, not gonna lie. I gotta do a touch of a refresh on the trans and the engine. That will be happening when I do a lot of the K-frame work, like doing the oil pan gasket, the trans pan gasket, probably seeing how high I can lift the motor, and doing the exhaust manifold gaskets and all that sort of stuff. Just doing some basically general maintenance. And so besides that, the major things that Eddie needs are cooling, because right now I've got V's V8 radiator, the original one, in there. It used to have a slant 6 radiator in it. So it's getting a new radiator, an electric fan. I'm removing the mechanical non-clutched fan and putting a new water pump in. So that cooling needs done, and that's probably the easiest of the projects that I'm going to be undertaking. The suspension needs completely gone over, and that's not too hard, especially because everything for the front end is currently sitting in the garage. And I realized I had said in my previous video, when we removed the full K-frame out of V, probably going to stick a thing up here for that video, we're not going to be using the entire K-frame out of V. We're basically going to end up using the torsion springs, the lower control arms, and the shocks. The upper control arms, we will probably be getting some nice tube ones, but my dad actually called me after I had posted that video and said, hey, wait, you can't really just directly swap them over. The small block and the slant 6 had different motor mount geometries. And the slant 6 and the big blocks actually have closer, almost have identical motor mount geometry, because the slant 6 is actually kind of wide. And so that's why there's not a whole lot of actual modifications underneath the hood to fit that 440, other than maybe some dimensional things. So I have to keep the actual K-frame in there. However, the sway bars, the stiffer torsion springs, and the lower control arms, and all of that is just going to bolt right in. So that's the front suspension taken care of. In the rear, I need new shocks, because I want to get rid of the air shocks that are back there, and new leaf springs, because the ones I have are completely trashed. The rear end, also, since we're talking about suspension and drivetrain, Currently, Eddie has a 273 rear end, open differential. So I'm going to be one wheel peeling, and he's not exactly geared for acceleration. So I still owe $200 on it, but there is a guy local to me who is selling a Ford 9-inch third member with 383 gears, with a 31 spline mini spool installed, and he is throwing in a 28 spline mini spool in with it, which means I'm probably going to get to learn how to set up gears in a Ford 9-inch because I'm almost certain that I have 28 spline axles. So that's a thing. Anyway, that'll take care of two major issues, which is gearing and open differential. Granted, streeting that car will be a little interesting with a mini spool, seeing as how I'll be fully locked all the time. But you know what? It is what it is. Then I can save up for an actual LSD or something like that. And then the biggest major pain in my butt, and the biggest major project that we have to do on Eddie, is the brakes. So the brakes currently are nothing. Zilch, zip, nada. The rears are, I think, 12-inch drums. The fronts are 10-inch drums. And the master cylinder that I have is a single-channel master cylinder that is the original factory one that came on Eddie. I'm still going to keep it manual brakes because I have no room for a brake booster. So I'm going to get a big bore master cylinder. It's like 1 1/8 or whatever. And that should give me plenty of stopping power, especially as I do a front disc brake conversion, which is the other reason I'm swapping to a lot of the stuff that V has, because she already has had all of the stuff to do disc brakes on the front. So I also need to get actual hubs, and I think I need to get rotors as well. But so cooling, brakes, and suspension all need done on Eddie. So hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be heading out to the track and starting to make some pulls. And then the next major milestone for Eddie, as we start to actually learn about drag racing, because like I know the general mechanics behind it, but I don't really know drag racing. So I am looking, my second major milestone, I am looking to end up going low 12s, high 11s. The reason I'm wanting to go with that is because shooting for that speed, shooting for those ETs or elapsed times, means that I actually have to do a bit of work to the engine, transmission, and probably get even lower gears. So it's not just something that I'm just going to go show up to the track and do. So I actually have to work to that. Also, if I stay above the 10-second mark, I don't have to do any serious safety improvements for right now, which means I don't have to put in a roll cage. I don't have to have battery cutoff. I don't have to have a few other things as I learn what I actually need as we move to the third major milestone. And this is where things get into the realm of I have no idea. And that is fastest station wagon in the world. That is our third major milestone, is to make the world's fastest station wagon in the quarter mile. From the little bit of looking that I've done, the world's fastest station wagon, and if I'm wrong, somebody please correct me. The world's fastest station wagon right now that I was able to find was a Dodge Magnum that run an 865 at 155 miles an hour. So if that is actually the world's fastest station wagon, and the article said it might, the way it was worded was kind of weird, so it might be the world's fastest Magnum, not actually the world's fastest station wagon. But we're gonna go for that. So Eddie's gonna become a legend. Eddie's gonna become a legend, and that's what we're going for, is world's fastest station wagon. And I don't know if I can keep Eddie being a street car on top of being all of that, but But yeah, and I know that this video is going long, but I just wanted to touch base with that and kind of give you guys a glimpse into the future of what is probably the next year. Because I have to like collect parts, and then we're going to do a little bit here, a little bit there. Just like I built Mud Flap up. A little bit here, a little bit there, and just we're going to work at it a little bit at a time. So that is our next big project, is getting Eddie back on the road. And then once he's back on the road and we're starting to make pulls at the drag strip here, because there's one less than a half hour from my house. There's also a road track like 5 minutes from my house, which is really cool. That's our first big goal, is to just get him on the road and get him to the track. And so that's what we're shooting for at the moment. And I will catch you guys later. Please do like and subscribe and share. If you guys have any input as well, please let me know. And we'll see what we can do with all of it. So you guys keep on dreaming, and we'll see you next time.